The village of Erynn was quiet, peaceful. It was a place where time seemed to stand still, where the worries of the outside world felt like distant echoes. The villagers went about their daily routines, tending to their homes and fields, living in harmony with nature. Hidden deep within the whispering woods, it was a sanctuary. The dense forest provided a natural barrier, shielding the village from prying eyes and the chaos that often plagued the kingdom beyond. It was a place of refuge, a haven for those seeking peace. Far from the turmoil of the kingdom, a young man named Kael lived a simple life. He was known to the villagers as a hard-working and kind-hearted individual, always ready to lend a helping hand. His days were filled with the honest labor of the land. He chopped wood, tilled the fields, and helped his mother Lyria with their chores. Lyria was a gentle soul, beloved by all in the village. Together they formed a small but tight-knit family, relying on each other for support and comfort. But Kael harbored a secret that weighed heavily on his heart, one that he could share with no one, not even his closest friends. It was a burden he carried alone, a shadow that followed him wherever he went. He was not who he seemed. Beneath the facade of a simple villager lay a hidden identity, one that could change the fate of the kingdom. Kael was living a lie, a necessary deception to protect himself and those he loved. He was the last heir of Aelinar, Prince Kaelindir, hidden away by his mother when their kingdom fell. The fall of Aelinar was a tragedy that still haunted him, a memory of fire and blood that he could never escape. Kael trained in secret with the village elder, Master Roran. Roran was more than just a mentor. He was a father figure, a guiding light in Kael's life. Under Roran's watchful eye, Kael honed his skills, preparing for a future that was uncertain. Roran was a grizzled warrior, bearing the scars of countless battles. His experience was invaluable, his wisdom hard-earned. He saw potential in Kael, a spark that needed to be nurtured and protected. He taught Kael the ways of the sword, the art of strategy, and the importance of discipline. But Kael struggled. The weight of his responsibilities often felt overwhelming, and the path ahead seemed fraught with peril. He felt the weight of his lineage, the pressure of a destiny he never asked for. Doubt gnawed at him. He questioned his ability to live up to the legacy of his ancestors, to be the leader his people needed. He feared he would never be the leader his people needed. The fear of failure was a constant companion, a shadow that loomed over his every decision. Yet, despite his doubts, he continued to train, driven by a sense of duty and honor.
I long for a normal life, a life free from the burdens of my past. I wish I could be just Kael, a simple villager, without the weight of a crown on my shoulders.
He found solace in the company of his two closest friends, Torran and Erynn. They were his anchor, the ones who kept him grounded when the weight of his secret threatened to pull him under. Torran, strong and sturdy, was a blacksmith's apprentice, always eager for a good laugh. His strength was matched only by his loyalty, and he was always there to lift Kael's spirits with a joke or a smile. Erynn, quick-witted and agile, dreamed of adventure beyond the woods. Her spirit was uncontainable, her dreams vast and boundless. She inspired Kael to look beyond his fears and embrace the possibilities of the future. Together they shared stories, dreams, and the simple joys of life in Erynwood. In their company, Kael found a semblance of normalcy, a brief respite from the burdens of his hidden identity. They were his family, his confidants, and his greatest source of strength. The midday sun beat down as Kael sparred with Roran. The heat was relentless, casting long shadows on the ground, but Kael's determination was unwavering. Sweat stung his eyes, his muscles screamed in protest. Every movement felt like a battle against his own body, yet he pushed on, driven by a desire to prove himself. He parried a blow, riposted, but Roran deflected it effortlessly. The elder's experience was evident in every fluid motion, a stark contrast to Kael's raw, unrefined energy. Frustration welled up inside Kael. He had trained for months, yet he still felt leagues behind his mentor.
I'll never be as good as you. His voice trembled with doubt, the weight of his insecurities pressing down on him.
He gasped, lowering his wooden sword. The exhaustion was palpable, but so was his determination to continue. Roran leaned on his staff, his expression unreadable. The silence between them was heavy, filled with unspoken lessons and challenges.
Patience, young Kael, dear. Roran's voice was calm, a stark contrast to the turmoil within Kael. Greatness is not achieved overnight. It is a journey, a path filled with trials and tribulations. It is forged through discipline, through resilience, through the fires of adversity. Each challenge you face, each setback, is a step towards your ultimate goal.
His voice, though gruff, held a hint of kindness. It was a reminder that even the toughest mentors had a heart.
But what if I'm not strong enough? Kael's voice was filled with uncertainty, the fear of failure looming large.
Kael's voice was barely a whisper. The weight of his lineage, the fallen kingdom, the expectations, it all threatened to crush him. The burden of his heritage was immense. The legacy of a fallen kingdom rested on his shoulders, and the expectations of his people were a constant reminder of his responsibilities.
Strength lies not just in muscle, but in heart and mind. Roran's words were a beacon of hope, a reminder that true strength came from within. You carry the heart of a king, Kael, dear. The elder's words resonated deeply, igniting a spark of determination in Kael's heart. Now you must find the mind of a warrior. 100 strikes, precision, not power. Each strike must be deliberate, each movement calculated.
Kael nodded, picking up his sword. The weight of the weapon felt different now, a symbol of his commitment and resolve. He focused on his breathing, calming his mind. Each breath was a step towards clarity, each exhale a release of doubt. As he struck the tree, each blow echoing in the clearing, he felt a flicker of determination ignite within him. The rhythm of his strikes became a mantra, a promise to himself. He would honor his lineage. The legacy of his ancestors would not be forgotten. He would become the leader his people deserved. With each strike, he forged not just his skills, but his destiny. Evenings in Erynwood were a time for family. The small village, nestled in the heart of the forest, would come alive with the sounds of laughter and the warmth of togetherness. The air would be filled with the scent of pine and the crackling of the hearth, creating a sanctuary from the outside world. Kael, Lyria, Torran and Erynn would gather around the hearth in their small cottage, sharing stories and laughter. The flickering flames would cast dancing shadows on the walls, creating an intimate atmosphere where time seemed to stand still. Lyria, her face etched with a gentle wisdom, would often recount tales of Aelinar, of its majestic cities and valiant knights. Her voice, soft yet powerful, would transport them to a world of bravery and honor, where heroes fought for justice and love. Her voice would soften as she spoke of Kael's father, the king, his courage and compassion a beacon in those dark times. Kael cherished these moments, feeling a deep connection to the father he never knew, yet felt so close to through his mother's stories. They were a reminder of the life he had lost, the legacy he carried. Each story was a thread in the tapestry of his past, weaving a picture of a world that once was and a future he was determined to reclaim. Looking at his mother, her eyes reflecting the flickering flames, he saw not just the loving parent who raised him, but the queen who sacrificed everything to protect him. Her regal presence was a constant reminder of the strength and resilience that flowed through their bloodline. He vowed silently to honor her sacrifice, to reclaim their kingdom no matter the cost. The weight of his promise settled on his shoulders, a burden he was willing to bear for the sake of his family and their legacy.
Kael, you've been training harder than usual. Your determination is admirable, but it's also worrying. We can see the fire in your eyes, the drive that pushes you beyond your limits. Something's different. What's going on? We can sense the change in you, the urgency that wasn't there before. It's as if you're preparing for something monumental.
Kael hesitated, glancing at his mother. The weight of his secret pressed heavily on him, the fear of the unknown mingling with the desire to protect his loved ones. He wanted to tell them, to share the burden he carried, to let them in on the mission that consumed his every thought. But the fear of putting them in danger held him back. The conflict within him was palpable, a battle between duty and love, between the need to protect and the desire to be honest. The next morning, a sense of unease hung over Erynwood. Strangers had arrived during the night, 3 riders, cloaked and hooded, their faces obscured. They rode horses bred for war, their armor bearing the sigil of a black dragon, a symbol feared throughout the land. These were no ordinary travelers. Whispers spread through the village like wildfire. Who were these strangers, and what did they want? Fear and suspicion clouded the eyes of the villagers.
I have a bad feeling about this.
As the strangers dismounted in the village square, their leader, a tall, imposing figure, surveyed their surroundings with a cold, calculating gaze. His hand rested on the pommel of his sword, his fingers drumming impatiently. Kael watched from the shadows, his heart pounding in his chest. He knew instinctively that their arrival was no coincidence.